Good morning everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of Weekly Roundup. Myself Nilesh and I will be taking this session. In this session, we'll cover important development of the last week. So before we start today's session, let's see the headlines which we'll cover in this session. In this session, we'll cover 5 main news, 6 quick updates and 1 personality news. In main news, we will see first news about Cloudburst in Arunachal Pradesh, which have caused the huge damage in the Arunachal Pradesh. Then second news is about call for revival of the joint families. As we will see why this is in news and what is its importance in the UPSC examination. Then third main news is about Digital India program, as the program have completed 11 years of success. And then fourth main news is about Unified National Energy Framework, and fifth main news is about SUMAN, that is Surakshit Matritva Aashwasan Roadmap 2030, launch for the maternal and newborn healthcare. Right. In the personality news, we will cover PC Mahalanobis and then we will cover 6 quick updates. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the first main news of the day. The first main news is about Cloudburst in Arunachal Pradesh, and it is very important. UPSC have asked the question regarding the Cloudburst directly, so it becomes very important, and that is why we will be covering this, as UPSC may ask the question related to it in the disaster management. Right, this topic is very important for GS paper 1, that is important geographical phenomena, and also in the GS paper 3, that is disaster management. So without wasting any time, let's dive into this news. As we have already discussed, there was huge cloudburst in the Arunachal Pradesh and it have caused the huge impact on the human life as well as the property, that is physical property. Also, there have been cloudburst instances in the recent times, and which were those instances? So cloudburst have been quite prominent in the mountainous region, and we will see why cloudburst are prominent in the mountainous region, right? So we will see that phenomena with the past incidences witnessed in the Kedarnath 2013, then Himachal Pradesh 2020, then also Uttarakhand in 2021 and also Sikkim in 2018, right? So these are the some of the instances where cloudburst have created major havoc in these areas, and we'll see what are the mechanisms behind this. So please remember these things or these facts, because UPSC had asked about the 2 cloudburst events. So then you may have discussed about the Kedarnath incidents and also about the Sikkim incident, right? But UPSC have the knack of asking the examples also, so you have to remember these examples, which becomes very important in the exam point of view. Right, now we'll see about the cloudburst. We will see the mechanism of the cloudburst through the diagram also, and it is advisable to draw a diagram when you are addressing such question where geographical phenomena is discussed by you, right? So it is advisable to draw a diagram when you are writing answer regarding the international relations. Then try to draw a map, right? So these are the some of the things where you should draw a diagram or the map, where it is very necessary to understand the or the give the understanding of the concept, right? We'll see that diagram and you can also replicate such diagram in your answer. So before we go to the diagram, let us see about the cloudburst and its details. So what is the meaning of the cloudburst? As you through the name may get understanding that it is like a bursting of the cloud and there will be a huge rainfall, right? But this is not the standard definition, and it is the extreme amount of precipitation in the short period of time, sometimes accompanied by the hail and the thunderstorms also, right? and this is capable of creating flood conditions because the huge amount of rain is getting in the short duration in the limited area, and then this huge amount of water will flow and it can create floods, right? According to IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, it classifies an event as a cloudburst if the rainfall is about 100 millimeter or the 10 centimeter per hour recorded over the place, and this area is very important, less than 100 square kilometer. So 100 millimeter of the rainfall within 1 hour in the area less than 100 square kilometer. This is the definition given by the Indian Meteorological Department to the cloudburst, and it gives us an idea what amount of rainfall is there in the short duration of the time, right? Then what is the condition for the occurrence? So it results due to the highly localized convective precipitation. We'll see what is the convective means in the diagram, right? Often triggered by the orographic lifting. We'll also see the what orographic lifting means, and it occurs when the moist air mass are forced upward by the steep Himalayan terrain, cooling and condensing rapidly. So we'll see all those things, don't worry about it. What is the impact of the cloudburst? So it can create flash flood, which means a sudden flood with the huge amount of water, that is flash flood, inundation of the low-lying areas, and also landslide causing damages to the life and property. Also it can cause the mudslides, as we have memories of the landslide because of the cloudburst in the Uttarakhand and Uttarkashi region, right? Then there is flash flood are the characterized by the very fast rise and recession of the flow of the small volume and the high discharge, as we already discussed. Now we will see what is the cloudburst and its mechanism. So for the cloudburst, the first condition is that the air should have the moisture. So the moist air encounters a mountain or the hill and is forced to rise. Then what is the convective rainfall, as we already discussed? So convective rainfall, convective precipitation is due to the sunlight. So direct sunlight is falling on the earth, and what happens because of the direct sunlight, the temperature rises, and because of the temperature rises, the air get hotter, and this hot air, it expands, and what it is lighter and it goes upwards, right? It goes upwards and it have the moisture in it. Then what happens when it goes upwards? It becomes too cold, right? It becomes too cold and it have the moisture also. So what will happen? It have the moisture, it becomes too cold, and then it becomes the clouds, and then it gives the rainfall. So this is the convective rainfall or the convective precipitation, right? So I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll see the concept and how this convective precipitation is linked to this thing. Then this rising air cools and condenses and clouds develops. So this is the second step. Then what happens? Because of this slope, this moist air is going upward, and this is called as the orographic lift. Orographic lift means lift of the air mass due to the geographical obstacle, and in this case that obstacle many times is the mountain or the hills, right? And this is the condition. Orographic lift means the lift of the air mass or the substance because of the geographical obstacle. Here obstacle is mountain or the hill, right? And then what happens? When it goes upward, it becomes cooler. Then the violent upward flow of the air prevents the condensing raindrops from falling to the ground. And then this is the fourth stage. Lack of upward air prevents the dissipation of the moisture. And then finally, whole of the store water falls at the one time with the huge pressure and the which with huge volume, and then steep slope causes the flash flood. And because this rain is coming here and it is falling here and here, what happens? This huge amount of water gushes to the downstream, and with it will have the huge amount of muds and other debris, and it will create flash flood, a large amount of water within small duration, and it will recede also, but in that meantime it will create huge amount of destruction, right? So I hope it is clear to you. Please try to draw a diagram when you are explaining the concept, and it can give you extra marks. This is all about the orographic lifting and the cloudburst. I hope it is clear to you. Now Government of India have taken some of the steps to tackle the cloudburst type of disasters. So what is the steps are? So there is cloudburst disaster risk reduction DRR strategy, and this strategy is part of the National Disaster Management Plan 2019, and these points are very important. You may write other points also, but when you have some strategy or some policy, you should give the priority to these policies. There is obviously Disaster Management Act, but specifically in that act also National Disaster Management Plan. So we'll be writing that, and the first point is understanding the risk. So there will be land hazard zonation using the different kind of spatial data such as aerial photograph, satellite imagery, and employing the technological improvement in the remote sensing, so that the areas where the cloudburst or the landslide areas can be detected first, and then there may be a mitigation measures, so that the human life or the material damage can be avoided or the reduced. This is the one part. Then inter-agency coordination among the central and state agencies to ensure quick, clear and effective dissemination of the warning information and data. Many times what happens, because of lack of coordination, there might be information regarding these disasters, but this information is not effectively communicated to the communities or the area where that instance may be happening, and that is why the people are not prepared for that, and that is why casualty can be higher. So that can be avoided by interagency coordination. Then structural measures. What are the structural measures here? So firstly, integrated approach to slope stabilization combining bioengineering. What is the bioengineering? Bioengineering means the engineering where biological materials are used, and which are those biological materials such as plant, trees and the other such instruments are used to stabilize the slopes of the mountains. Please remember that the Himalayas have the three parts, and this lower Himalaya is also called as Shivaliks. And these Shivaliks are actually sedimentary mountains, and because these are the sedimentary mountains, they are not very strong, and because they are sedimentary mountains, what happens? A small amount of rainfall or the cloudburst can create huge amount of destruction. Please remember that Shivaliks are the sedimentary mountains, and their slope might be lower, but their risk potential is very higher, and that is why for the slope stabilization, plants or the trees are very important. Then mechanical structures can be created such as walls, so that there can be avoidance, or there may be the structure such as the water conservation measures, so that the water will not flow and it will be stored and will go in the earth, right? So these kind of measures can be taken. Then capacity development of the people and provide guidance and technical support to the SDRF, that is state disaster response forces, then community and then volunteers. Please remember that like this cyclone was the huge concern for the India, but because of the effective management, use of technology and the information dissemination, even there are recurring cyclones in the Bay of Bengal, particularly Odisha and Andhra Pradesh and coastal regions, but the man life or the animal life have been reduced, or their destruction have been reduced in the recent time because of this coordination. This can be adopted here also, and it can be very good strategy to avoid the cloudburst related disaster, right? I hope this is clear to you. Now we'll see the question related to it. So UPSC have the question. This question is asking about explain the mechanism which we have already discussed of the cloudburst in the context of Indian subcontinent. Discuss two recent examples. We have discussed four examples. You can give those examples and also the mechanism which we have already discussed. Please try to draw a diagram. Then see this question. The frequency of urban floods due to high intensity rainfall is increasing over the years. Discuss the reason for the urban floods and the highlights the mechanism for the preparedness to the reduce the risk during such events 2016. So regarding the urban floods, there have been question asked thrice in last 7 to 8 years, and the first question was in 2016. There might be more question related to it, and you have to be prepared regarding it. So please remember that there was a flood in Mumbai, and it was related to some unique factors such as high tide and the rivers. So please write down the rivers in the Mumbai and Chennai which caused the floods in the Mumbai and Chennai recently or the recent time. So you can give those examples and please write those rivers in the comment section. So I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll move to the second main news of the day. And second main news of the day is regarding the call for revival of the joint families. The joint family system have been diminishing over the years, and that is because of the one of the side effect of the urbanization or the globalization. So the joint families was the characteristic of the Indian society, and it was very important for socially, culturally and even economically. UPSC have asked the question regarding it, that the joint families were important for the economic consideration more than the cultural consideration. But in such cases, you have to also discuss about the cultural consideration also, and then you can also discuss the economic consideration and take a balanced view. So this topic becomes very important for GS paper 1, that is effects of globalization on the Indian society, and it is also very important for GS paper 4, that is role of family. So role of the family is very important in inculcating the ethics and morality in the children or the newborn, right? So the first teacher of any children is the family, and family can taught the children regarding the various values, ethics and other moral principles which can be very important in the child's life. So this is the role of family, and the joint family have the major role, because there may be three generations and all the generation complements each other. Even the grandparents give the wisdom to the newborns and also give the experiences or the teachings to their sons, that is the second generation. So this is about the context. Now what is the development, why we are discussing this thing? So Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister advocated the reviving of the joint family system and highlighting its role in the value inculcation, as we already discussed, emotional support and the share parenting amid a shift from the India's traditional joint family structure to the nuclear families. So this is the development. Now we'll see about the news. And firstly, we'll discuss about the evolving structure of family system in India and what are the characteristics. So UPSC have recent time asked the question which are this kind, and that is why we are discussing this thing. So firstly, new family forms are emerging. And what are these new family forms? So rise of nuclear, supplemented nuclear, that is unmarried relatives live with the couple, and new local families, that is married couples establish independent home near their workplaces, and ding families. So these are the new type of families which are coming into existence. Then there is functional jointness. What is the functional jointness? Means which is residential joint families which are in decline, but emotional, economical, and ritual ties continue across separate households. So there is no directly joint family physically, but there are emotional, economic, and ritual ties which are continuous to across the different households. Even the kitchen are different, but by the rituals and economic and emotional perspective, they are still a joint family. Then there is changing gender roles. So weakening of the patriarchal authority, greater spouse equality, and women's participation in decision making, which is also very important in the today's changing gender roles or the family system. Also there are some other evolving structures such as live-in relationship, and because these things are coming up, there have been new laws which are addressing those things, such as there are uniform civil code in Uttarakhand, and even right now proposed in the Assam. They are tackling the issue of this live-in relationship, and even the Supreme Court have given the various judgment. So this is also one kind of family system which is evolving with the time, and it is because of the effects of the globalization or the need of the emotional and other supports in the urban societies, right? So this is about the evolving structure of the families. I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll see the reasons for these changes. So what are the reasons for these changes? Firstly, demographic transition, as we have already discussed, that lower fertility, higher life expectancy, and delayed marriages have reduced the family size, right? This is the one aspect, because there are lack of children because of the lower fertility and higher life expectancy, but marriages are getting delayed. And also there is increase in literacy, and people are aware that there should be limited number of children for the quality of life parents can provide to the children. That is one consideration. Then urbanization and migration. So employment, education, and housing constraints in the urban areas increase cost of living favors the nuclear families. Even in the areas or the cities like Mumbai, the houses are very small. Even 200 square feet may be the normal house area, and in such short houses, this is not possible to have the more children or the joint family, right? This is also one of the consideration. Then women's economic empowerment. So increased workforce participation has reshaped gender roles and the power relationship. So many times these professional aspirations also avoid women to take the pregnancy in their professional life. So their professional life may be affected, and that is why women may delay the their pregnancy. That is also one of the concern. And then there is modern values such as emphasis on the individualism, privacy, and the personal autonomy. There is also a tilt toward not having children at all. So this is also one of the consideration, because of the emphasis on the individualism or the more urge for the privacy. So these are the some of the reasons for the changes we have already seen. And then we'll see what are the impacts of the changing family structure. So firstly, care challenge. So because there is no availability of the grandparents or the females are employed, and that is why weakening of the traditional family support for the senior citizens and even the child care, right? Also the positive thing is that because of the lack of patriarchal bondage, now even the male parent is also responsible for the taking care of the children. That is the positive which is coming out of it. Then dependence on the institution, such as greater reliance on the daycare centers, old age homes and the hospitals. So this is the this is also one of the aspect. We can also see it through the compass of moral principle, but this is the one of the change which is happening. Then psychological stress is also there, because balancing nuclear family needs, responsibilities toward the aging parents who often face the social isolation. So there is huge amount of expectation and pressure to manage various things, and then fluid family roles such as changing role work parents result in the changes in the sexual division of labor, that is stay at home dad, as we already discussed. So these are the some of the issues. Please understand that any family or the joint family is not always a norm. How joint family is created? Let's consider this is the nuclear family, and then these people have the children, they get married and they will have the children, and then these families get separated and these become nuclear again. So this is the cycle, that a nuclear family becomes the joint family, and over the period of time they again become the nuclear family. So this is the cycle, it is not new, but with the time there is no chance or lesser prospect of these nuclear families becoming a joint families. So this is also one of the aspect you should remember. Now we'll see the comparative analysis of the nuclear versus joint family, the size and composition, as it is very understandable that the nuclear families are small parents and dependent children, and here large families 3-4 generation living together. Then economy and resources, here independent, here share property, income and resources. Then living arrangement, here independent, neo-local residence, here common residence and the share kitchen. Then mobility, it is highly mobile, suited to urbanization and jobs. This is less mobile, linked to the agriculture family businesses. Then social support, that is limited family support, here strong support because of the huge amount of people or the large amount of people are there. And then division of labor, it is managed mainly by the parents, and here shared households and the caregiving responsibilities. So this is the features and these are the various differences upon around them. So you can give such table if asked, right? Now we will see the question asked related to it. Please see this question. The life cycle of the joint family depends on economic factors rather than social values. Discuss. So you have to discuss, you have to tell the economic factors also and also the social factors, and you can take your stand on the basis of it. Then nuclear families grow into joint families, as we already saw, and then break into the nuclear families, as I had given the diagram and I have explained this to you. The changes from the nuclear to joint and joint to nuclear families is fairly frequent in India. Explain the changes in the structure and the function of the joint family in this context. So we have discussed all the points of this question. We have discussed the structure and functional changes in the joint family, and also how the nuclear families became joint family and then again disintegrated into the nuclear family. So this is the cycle. So this is all about the second main news. So third main news of the day is related to Digital India program, and I have already discussed it have completed the 11th year, right? So it was launched in 2015 and it have completed 11 years, and it is very important for GS paper 2, that is government policies and intervention in various sectors. So this this policy or this program is very important. UPSC have asked the question multiple times, and the data and examples of this program you can quote in the various answers, and it can be beneficial to you, and that is why it becomes very important for you. Let's dive into the news. As we have see the developments in the development, that is 11-year completion of the Digital India program. Now we'll see about the Digital India program. So it was launched in July 2015. It serves as the foundation of India's digital economy and digital public infrastructure. You may be remembering that when we were child, then we had to go to the bank for the submitting the various documents or the money, that is physical currency, and even electricity bill. You have to go to the gas station for booking of the cylinder, and all those things very cumbersome. You have to wait there in the queue, and you might have also wasted your whole days doing all those things. That things are even absolute today, and the large credit goes to the Digital India program and the digitization in the economy and the streamlining of these services into the digitalization, and because of it also there is reduced corruption in those processes, right? So this is only one aspect which I gave you as an example, but you can see in the various aspect or various stratas of the economy and various services and various activities in the economy, the digitization have helped and reduced the suffering or the physical stress related to various things, and it have become very easy, right? So this is very important, and that is why there is also importance that we should keep the pace of digitalization and the industrial revolution 4.0. Now we'll see about the Digital India program. As we already discussed, it was launched in July 2015, and what are the key progress made? Firstly, digital economy contributes nearly 12 to 14% of the India's GDP. So it is very important for the India's economy because it is contributing around 12 to 14%, and it is also creating jobs, giving high skill jobs, and also bringing lot of FDA and the various other economic benefits to the India, such as software development, then IT industries boom. All those things are related to digital economy. Then unified payment interface UPI have transaction increased from 2 crore in 2016-17 to around 24,000 crore in the financial year 2025-2026. So you can see the huge increase from the 2 crore to around 24,162 crores in nearly 10 years. This is also very important. Then there are 9 pillars of the Digital India program. We will see these 9 pillars, and UPSC can ask the question related to it. So please try to remember this. The first pillar is broadband highways, and under this pillar around 2.15 lakh gram panchayat connected under the BharatNet 1 and BharatNet 2 by the January 2026. So please remember that BharatNet 1 and BharatNet 2, which means BharatNet is related to the connecting the gram panchayats with the internet, right? This is the one thing, or the broadband connection. Then universal access to the mobile connectivity. So broadband internet subscriber base have increased to nearly 106 or around 107 crore by the March 2026, which is also a staggering number, and almost every person have the mobile phone with them, right? Then public internet access, more than 6.5 lakh common service centers and 1.6 lakh post office delivers digital services providing e-governance, banking, etc. And These services are generally in the rural areas, empowering the rural population and giving them the access and the ease of the digital India and the digital economy, right? Then there is e-governance such as DigiLocker and National Single Sign-On ecosystem and all those things which can be happened. You can fill up various forms, or even farmers can also claim various compensation through the e-governance portals, various portals. Then e-Kranti, and e-Kranti is for from physical to digital governance, e-hospitals, e-Sanjeevani, e-courts. So these are under the e-Kranti, right? Then information for all. So there are websites such as My Government, that is MyGov, then Open Government Data, which is very important, and it is complementing to the Information Right to Information Act, right? Then there is electronics manufacturing. So electronic production increased from 1.9 lakh crore rupees in 2014-15 to around 12 lakh crore in the March 2026, which is also huge number or increase. And previously we were the largest importer of the mobile phones and such electronic equipments, which have been reduced now, and we are also exporting such things from the India now. So this is also one of the thing. Then IT for jobs, and IT and IT related services industry estimated to have the revenue of around 283 billion US dollar in financial year 2025 as per the NASSCOM. And then early harvest programs such as public Wi-Fi, e-book, SMS and weather alerts, etc. Right? So these are the various things which have been there, and these are the 9 pillars. Please remember that: broadband highways, universal access to the mobile connectivity, public internet access, e-governance, e-Kranti, information for all, electronics manufacturing, IT for jobs, and early harvest program. These are the 9 components. I hope it is clear to you. Now we will see the various challenges which are still prevailing for the digital transformation of the economy or the Digital India program. Firstly, escalating cyber security threats. Please remember that this is also very important topic, and UPSC have the knack of asking questions related to it. As per the Center for Strategic and International Studies, cyber attacks on Indian government entities surged by 138% from 2019 to 2023, and generally a large infrastructure of India, such as critical infrastructure of atomic energy, even management of dams and other things which are on the digital platform, and that is why the security of these platforms becomes very important. And there is huge sensitive data which is also stored digitally, and that is why the large amount of people or the cyber criminals try to attack and hack this data, or try to get access of the various critical infrastructure such as national electric grid and all kind of things, right? And there were also attacks on the stock markets also. So these are the some of the things that is very important for us. Then institutional coordination, overlapping mandates, fragmented responsibilities and uneven capacity across central ministries and subnational bodies, which also creates a governance lethargy or the lack of governance management, right? This is also important. And then local innovation gaps in the talent, data infrastructure and R&D capacity, which is also important. Then there are new emerging challenges and new economic or cyber frauds with the people, such as digital arrest, such as then phishing, right? Then spams. So all these things are also very important, because of such scams people are getting looted digitally, and there is no need of physical robberies because of these new digital robbers are there. And because of this, there is need of digitally aware citizens. Digitally aware citizens, and also digital literacy is very important. So this is all about the this news. Now we'll see the question which was asked related to it. Please see this question: which of the following is our aims of the Digital India plan of the Government of India? Formation of India's own internet companies like China did. We have already seen the various components. Is it a component? No. Establish a policy framework to encourage overseas multinational cooperation that collect big data to build their large data centers within India. No. Connect many of our villages to the internet. First is the BharatNet. So this is the correct. So answer is B, that is 3 only, right? So this was the direct question. That is why I was saying please give the importance, and please try to remember these things, because you can also code these things in your answers, and then your answer become very innovative than the other people who are writing generic points, right? This is the one point. Then see this question: how can a Digital India program help farmers to improve the farm productivity and income? What steps have the government taken regarding it? So there are ENAM, which is market access. Then there are various mobile apps. So those apps can be e-Kisan, ENAM, ENAM for the marketing. Then there are this digital Jandhan accounts. So directly the money is transferred to the farmer's account. So all those things and all those initiatives you can write, right? At the various stages, for the input stage, then post harvest management, then in the harvesting season, in the crop management, weather forecasting, all those things, various mobile apps, various informations, mobile based information or the SMS based information, even the Doordarshan and various channels which give information related to it. All those examples and points you can write at the various stages of the farmers or the production of the crops, right? So by that way you can give the various examples. You can write about the e-Kranti, e-governance, right? Then also BharatNet, which is giving access to the Gram Panchayat to have the broadband, so that there will be digital access and farmers can understand their rights and fill the various compensation forms and claim the various subsidies, all those things, right? So these are the some of the points you can write in this answer, right? I hope it is clear to you. Now please see these two questions. This main question, please try to write. The UPSC have asked the question or the essay on the fourth industrial revolution. So try to create a framework or the structure of the 2 pages, so that you can write a effective essay also on the fourth industrial revolution, right? This is the one thing. Please see this question and try to give the answer of this question in the comment section, right? To try to solve these points. This is for your practice. Now we'll see the next main news, and the next main news is related to the unified national energy framework. This is very important again, and it is important for the paper 2, that is infrastructure and particularly energy. So this unified national energy framework is needed because India is vulnerable to the energy shocks, as we have seen, and there is no uniform structure to manage the energy framework, and that is why there have been 4 points or 4 A's, and we will see what are those points, and there is roadmap also. So it is very important for our syllabus, right? So what is the development? So Indian National Science Academy propose a unified national energy framework to integrate energy resources, technologies and the institution toward the common national objective. So Indian National Science Academy is very important organization for the science research in the overall streams, and one of the oldest society. So your job is to write where it is located and when it was established, right? So I will give you a hint. It was established pre-independent era and in the 20th century, but you have to write the correct year and please write where it is established. So this is your homework. Then it have given the framework, and India aims to achieve the energy self-reliance by 2047 and net zero emission target by 2070. So this is the important aspect, and it will integrate energy resources, technologies and the institution toward the common national objective. So this is the background. Now we'll see why this framework is needed. What are the various challenges in the energy infrastructure or energy sector in India? So the first challenge is infrastructure gap, and as we already know that power generation growth outpaces grid, then transmission losses and the storage incapacity, then dispatch infrastructure, all those things, then there is theft, there is no effective management, and also the output ratio of the coal plants in India is very low, and because there is huge emission but the power outcome is very cheaper, and that is also one of the aspect. Also the coal is not anthracite in India, and that is why the calorific value is low and ash content is more. So this is also one point. Then policy market misalignment. So production expansion, for example ethanol blending, CBG, then lack of supporting infrastructure, weak carbon markets, all those things are also impacting the energy transition or the energy sector in India. Then financing constraints are also there, such as high capital cost, limited MSME credit and weak green finance hinder the investment. And also social equity such as transmission risk affecting the coal dependent communities, energy poor households. So there may be a transition, but these poor families which cannot afford, and they have the very easy access of the wood and all those things which are easy to burn, and these are the free in the rural areas. So it is very difficult to convince these poor household to shift to the cleaner energy, right? So these are the some of the problems. Then there is problem of huge infrastructure cost, and also there is uncertainty in the some of the energy sources, for example solar energy without the storage systems. So it can give the energy in the daylight only, but what about the electricity load in the night? So there should be a storage infrastructure which is not adequate in India, and also there is huge corruption, red tapeism and all those problems which are there. So you can write all those points also. These are the key challenges, right? So the institute have suggested the unified national energy policy framework, and it have the 4 important points or the 4A. And the first A is for the adequacy, reliable supply. So it is saying that diversify energy sources, strengthen the coal's near term role, then scale non-coal energy and expand the digital infrastructure and energy storage, as we already discussed. That is one, adequacy. Then secondly, access. Then it is saying that ensure the universal last mile access through the decentralized solution, clean cooking and the local biomass value chains. Then there is affordability or the financial sustainability, promoting the blended green finance, time of day pricing and targeted subsidies, and the reduced exposure to the global price volatility. And final A is related to appropriate sustainability, that is India specific transition, adopt region specific planning, leverage indigenous technologies and ensure a just transition for the affected workers. So these are the 4 A's or the 4 pillars: adequacy, access, affordability and appropriate sustainability. So these are the 4 A's. You can directly mention this framework and the 4 pillars of it, right? Then it have also given the key recommendation how to proceed with this framework, and it is suggesting that it should be a phase implementation. And which are those 3 phases? The first phase is intermediate, then medium term and long term. Intermediate phase will be from the 0 to 3 years, and in this phase we have to strengthen the grids and storage, scale decentralized energy capacity, etc. Then in medium term, that is 3 to 10 years, scale up low carbon technologies, expand the circular economy, so the waste will be lesser, and from the waste we can generate more energy, and this can boost the economy, right? And green economy. Then long term, that is 10 to 20 plus years, and in this phase we have to phase down unabated fossil fuels, implement cost reflective pricing, etc., right? Then they are suggesting the governance reforms. So they are asking about promoting interministerial coordination and participatory governance, and then finance and market. So operationalize the carbon market, support the indigenous energy storage manufacturing, and they are talking about the just transition, that is establish a just transition fund, so that there will be a just transition to the cleaner energies, and the old or the fossil fuels reliance can be reduced. For the carbon market, we have implemented one scheme in 2023. Please write the name of the scheme related to carbon market in India, right? Or the government of India scheme related to carbon market. So this is about the key recommendation. Now we'll see the previous year question related to it. Please see this question. Consider the following statement. Coal sector was nationalized by the government of India under the Indira Gandhi. Let's see second question. Now coal blocks are allocated on the lottery basis. So it is not allocated on the lottery basis. This is incorrect statement. So B and D are gone. Till recently, India imported coal to meet the shortage of domestic supply, but now India is self-sufficient in the coal production. This is also not true. So answer is only A. So even if you don't know about any fact, try to eliminate the options so that you can get the answer, right? So the answer is A, that is 1 only. Please see this question. Access to the affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy is the sine qua non, which means essential to achieve the sustainable development goal SDGs. Comment on the progress made in India in this regard. So you have to write various initiatives taken and why it is essential. So you can write about the energy need, how energy can promote the economic development and the industrial revolution, and all those points you can write. Manufacturing, service sector, how can it boost to the rural economies, all those points you can write, right? So this is also important. It is also very important for the social development also. So that is also one point. And then you can write various measures taken by the government of India, such as push for the renewable energy, then coal block auctions, all those things. Also ethanol blending and all those things you can write down, right? So then also a diversification of energy from the various countries. We are importing the crude oil now. Previously it was largely from the Gulf region, but now we have diversified to the more than 30 countries after the this instability in the Middle East or the Arab world in between Israel, Iran and the US, right? So these are the some of the points. Please see this question and try to give the answer to this question. Very easy question, that the IREDA is the public limited government company and it is a non-banking financial company. Please try to give the answer which is the correct, right? Now we'll see the next main news of the day. Next main news of the day is SUMAN, that is Surakshit Matritva Aashwasan Roadmap 2030, which have been launched recently, and it is very important for GS paper 2, that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable sections. And UPSC have always asked the question related to maternity benefits or the maternity welfare or the uh, welfare of the children and the adolescent or the uh, other vulnerable sections. So that is why it is very important for us, right? So as we already discussed, the SUMAN roadmap have been launched, and the name of the roadmap is SUMAN Roadmap 2030, and it is aiming to strengthen the maternal and newborn healthcare services in India, right? So this is the development. Now we'll see the various reasons for the persisting maternal and the child mortality in India. So as per the global standards, the maternal mortality rate should be less than 70 per lakh mothers, and this figure is larger than in India. It is around 80 in India, and in 2020 we had achieved the milestone of 100, less than 100. So this is one of the fact, but still we have not achieved the milestone of 70, right? Even neonatal mortality rate or under 5 mortality rate, India is not achieve the target for the desired outcome. And why it is, we'll see. So reasons for persisting maternal and child mortality. First reason is high prevalence of nutritional and anemia among the women and children. So what is the anemia? Low hemoglobin in women, that is anemia, and children, that is the one thing. Then what its impact leads to the low birth weight, then preterm birth which is before the time, and then complication and weak immunity of the children. This is the one thing, or even the woman. Then inadequate antenatal, postnatal and neonatal care because of the because of the economic constraint and even the physical infrastructure related to health, that is hospitals. Increased risk of complication during the pregnancy, childbirth and the neonatal period. So the population to doctor ratio in India is also not adequate as per the recommendation of the WHO. Then delays in accessing the emergency and the newborn care, and that result into delay in reaching the facilities and receiving the timely care leads to the preventable death. So this is also very important factor. Then socio-economic inequalities and the gender disparity, and it is result into the poverty, low female education, early marriages and the high fertility limit access to the healthcare. Then shortage of skilled health personals and the weak healthcare infrastructure as we already discussed. Then poor sanitation, unsafe drinking water and incomplete immunization and obstetric and the newborn care is also lacking. So all these points are there, and it is very important. Also there is lack of importance to the woman in the patriarchal society in India, that is also affecting these things, right? So these are the some of the reasons and their impact. Now we'll see about the SUMAN roadmap, that is 2030 roadmap, and the first it is talking about the national strategic framework developed by the Ministry of the Health and Family Welfare under the RMNCHA plus N framework, right? And what is RMNCHA plus N framework? It is an integrated life cycle healthcare framework under the National Health Mission. And what is the date of the National Health Mission? That is 2017. And under it, the maternal mortality rate should be 100 per lakh. So this is the target, covering the reproductive, maternal, newborn, child and the adolescent health along with the nutrition. And what is the objective? Reduce the maternal mortality rate MMR to below 70 by 2030. As we already discussed, this is the global standard. Then further reduce the neonatal mortality rate and infant mortality rate IMR achieve the universal coverage of quality maternal and neonatal healthcare services. Now we'll see what is the neonatal mortality rate and infant mortality rate. So as we already discussed, maternal mortality rate refers to the number of maternal deaths per 1 lakh live birth given during a period, and in India it is around 87, and our target is to achieve the 70 by 2030. Then infant mortality rate refers to the number of deaths of the infant under the 1 year of the age per 1000 live births in a given year. So it is not in lakhs, it is for the 1000. And right now the status is there are 24 deaths, and we have to reduce the death as low as 0, right? And then neonatal mortality rate refers to the number of deaths of the infant within the first 28 days of the life per 1000 lives birth in the given year, and right now it is 18, and it should be around 0, but it is 18 in India, and according to the National Health Mission it should be 10 or low, right? So this is our target. Right now it is around double of that target. So these are the some of the things, their status in India and our targets, right? I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll see the other points of the SUMAN roadmap. It focuses on the equitable, evidence-based and person-centric maternal and newborn healthcare. And what is the coverage? So it is proposed target intervention across 130 districts in the 13 high focus states such as Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. And why these states? Because the highest of these is in the Assam. Assam have the around 195 maternal mortality rate, and some of the states such as Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, these states have achieved the target. These states have the maternal mortality rate lesser than 70 per lakh mothers. So these states have achieved their target. So the intervention in the states, these are the 13 high focus states where the maternal mortality rate or the children mortality, neonatal or the other children's under 5 children's mortality are higher, and such states are Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and other states, right? So this is about the framework and its points. Now we'll see the other key initiatives taken for the maternal health, and the first is the Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, free quality antenatal checkups for the pregnant woman on the 9th of every month. Antenatal means before the pregnancy, right? Then Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, cash incentive to support the maternal nutrition and wage compensation, right? Then Poshan Abhiyan addresses the maternal and the child malnutrition through the convergence and the technology. In the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, please see is the amount given by the government to the mothers. You can write, and I will give you a hint. It is between 1 to 10,000. So it is figure between 1 to 10,000. Please find and give the correct answer. Then Mission Indradhanush. So it expands full immunization coverage for the children and the pregnant woman. Please remember that there is Indradhanush plan which is related to the banking. So this is different. Mission Indradhanush is different. It is related to immunization, but there is Indradhanush plan related to banks. So please see that plan also, which is very important for the banking, which is also very important topic for you. But Mission Indradhanush is for the immunization. So I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll see the previous year question asked related to it. Which are of the objectives of the National Nutrition Mission, and to create awareness related to the malnutrition among the pregnant women and the lactating mothers, to reduce the incidence of anemia among the young children, adolescent girls and the women, to promote the consumption of the millets, coarse cereals and unpolished rice. So this is not the case, it is too specific and it is not given. Then to promote the consumption of the poultry eggs, which is also not there. So answer is A, that is 1 and 2 only. Please see this question. In order to enhance the prospect of social development, sound and adequate healthcare policies are needed, particularly in the field of geriatric. Which, what is geriatric means? The old age, and then maternal healthcare discuss. So you can discuss various points related to it in the National Health Policy 2017. Also, when you are writing such answer, give the Amartya Sen's capability model. Capability model in your answer. So what is the capability model? So Amartya Sen is saying that government should spend money instead of physical infrastructure on the social infrastructure such as health, education and all those things, and then there will be a indirect effect on the economic development. So this is the capability model, very important. You can start the answer or give this point in the conclusion also, or the way forward, right? This is about this last main news. Now we'll see the personality in news, and this week's personality in news is the PC Mahalanobis, right? And why it is important or in the news? Because Statistic Day, which is celebrated on 29th June, celebrated to commemorate the birth anniversary of the Professor Mahalanobis, architect of India's modern statistics system, right? So Mahalanobis was very important. Please remember that the Mahalanobis also very important for the Indian economy and the Indian planning after the independence, right? So he was great scientist or the statistician, and was the great administrator even when inducted into the services for in the various roles. So these are the some of the people you should always remember that. And with the Nehru's vision and with the planning of Mahalanobis, we achieved the industrial development in the second plan. So this is also very important. In first plan, our focus was on agriculture development. In second plan, our focus was on the industries and manufacturing, right? So let's see the development. What are the contribution of the Professor PC Mahalanobis? So he founded the Indian Statistical Institute and established National Sample Survey in 1950 and set up Central Statistical Organization, and shaped India's second 5-year plan from 1956 to 61, and also called as Mahalanobis plan, right? And this plan is focused on the development of the public sector and rapid industrialization or the self-reliance of the India, right? So very important. And gave Mahalanobis distance, a statistical measure, work on the prevention of the floods also, right? Then he have given various recognition. So firstly received Padma Vibhushan, second highest civilian award. Then Mahalanobis International Award is given to the individual for the lifetime achievements in the statistics in the developing country or the region. Please remember that, not limited to India or but developing country or the region, and supported by the Ministry of Statistics and the Program Implementation, MOSPI, right? So this is about the personality in news. Now we'll see the quick updates of the week. The first quick update of the week is related to the Lonar Lake, and very important geographical feature in India. So what is the development? Recently rising water levels in the Lonar Lake have submerged the part of nearby temples, including the Kamalja Devi temple, right? So we'll see about the Lonar Lake, where it is located. It is located in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra, And what is the origin of it? Very important, please remember that it is formed nearly 50 to 52 years ago, sorry, 50,000 to 52,000 years ago, when meteorite impacted the earth in the basalt formation of the Deccan Plateau. So it is a meteorite lake. When meteorite impacted on the earth, this lake is formed, right? And it is one of the largest crater lake. So that is why it is very important, very picturesque, and many tourists visit this place. Then what is the conservation status? It has been designated a wildlife sanctuary, national geo-heritage site, and Ramsar site, right? So please write in the comment how many Ramsar sites are there in India, and which is the last site and from which state, right? Then see the key features. The first key feature is unique biodiversity. It has two distinct layers, alkaline and saline, of the water, harboring microorganisms not found anywhere else. So it has this unique alkaline and saline water, and it have the distinct organisms, microorganisms. Then endorheic basin, so closed drainage basin without no outflow. So it don't have the outflow, and the water is always there. There is no outlet to this crater, right? Then moon resemblance. So minerals in the lake soil closely resemble those found in the moon rocks, because this meteorite was impacted there, and there may be fragments or the material of that meteorite still there. So this is about the Lonar Lake. Now we'll see the next quick update, that is SheLips. And what is the development? So SheLip is the platform which has been recently launched at the Rashtriya Gramin Vikas Sammelan, and also government recently increased the target for the Lakpati Didi scheme from 3 crore to 6 crore women. So it is double. And what is about the Lakpati Didi initiative? It enables women associated with the SDGs to earn a sustainable annual household income above 1 lakh. So this is related to self-help groups initiative. Now we'll see the self-help entrepreneur livelihood and enterprise application for prosperity and sustainability, that is SheLips. Now what is the aim? Unified digital platform to empower the self-help group women through the enterprise creation and performance tracking in the farm and non-farm sectors. So both farm and non-farm sectors. And development, it is by the Digital India Corporation and implemented under the Locos platform. And what is the objective? Empower SDG women entrepreneurs and promote financial inclusion and data-driven entrepreneurship. So this is all about the second quick update. Then we'll see the third quick update. And third quick update is related to the petroglyph. And what is the petroglyph? So the work on India's first petroglyph conservation park in the Leh commenced with the systematic relocation of the petroglyph ancient rock arts from the vulnerable sites across the Ladakh, such as Sabuthang, then Thangthang and Stakmo Thang, Likir Hill, etc. Right? What is the petroglyph? So petro means the rock. So that is why you get the idea. And petroglyph is the work by the chiseling or the scraping. So these are the ancient forms of the art, and this is very important for the historical context. So petroglyphs are the threatened by the natural weathering, unregulated tourism, infrastructure development, and human interference and lack of awareness. And petroglyphs are the rock carvings. Rock paintings are called pictographs, right? Made by the picking directly on the rock surface using the stone chisel and the hammer stone, right? And it is different from the geoglyphs, which are a form of prehistoric rock art created on the surface of the laterite plateaus. They are made by removing the part of the rock surface through the incision, picking, carving, and the abrading. right? So these are the petroglyph, which is very important, particularly if you are history optional student, right? Then this is next quick update, and next quick update is related to Santhal Hul. So Santhal Hul means the Santhal rebellion, and what is the development? So Santhal Hul have been observing his 170th anniversary of the Santhal Hul and being celebrated across India. There was also a important revolt by the Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Please give the name of that revolt. The question was asked about this revolt, and there is specific name. So please give that name starting from U. So please give the name, and please also write which are the name which are given to the Bhagwan Birsa Munda, right? So titles of the Birsa Munda and the revolt by the Munda tribes. So please write those names. Now we'll see about the Santhal Hul. So it was a major tribal uprising in the Rajmahal Hill, modern day Jharkhand, Bihar and West Bengal, and it was in 1855 to 57, right, against the British rule and oppressive landlords, and led by the four brothers Sidho, Kano, Chand and the Bhairo Murmu, along with the sister Phulo and the Jhano. So these are the leaders, and core cause land alienation, oppressive taxation, forced labor and the debt under the permanent settlement. And what happened after this revolt? This question was asked in the UPSC. So new Santhal Parganas were created to give the special administrative status and land rights. So Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act was enacted and banning the transfer of tribal land to the non-tribals. So this is about the Santhal Hul. Now we'll see the next quick update of the day, and that is related to Sariska Tiger Reserve. And why it is in news? The national workshop was organized in Alwar to mark the 18th year of successful scientific tiger reintroduction in the Sariska Reserve. Very important development. Sariska now supports 56 tigers, and it is the world's first successful scientific reintroduction of tigers into a landscape where the species has been locally extinct. So this is the world's first such experiment, and which is successful, and it was done 18 years ago. About the Sariska Tiger Reserve, so its location is in Alwar district, Rajasthan, situated in the Aravalli Hills, and which is the river. The question have been asked about the Jim Corbett National Park and river flowing through it. So river flowing through Jim Corbett National Park is Ramganga, and in Sariska there is a river called is Rupa Rail or the Rupa Rail River. And what is the fauna? Tiger, leopard, striped hyena, caracal, nilgai, sambar, spotted deer, four-horned antelope and pangolin. Then flora, dhok, arjun and the tendu leaves. Then vegetation, northern tropical dry deciduous and thorn forest, obviously in the Rajasthan. And heritage, houses prominent historical monuments like Kankwari Fort, then Nilkhand Temple and the Pandupol Hanuman Temple. So this is about the Sariska Tiger Reserve. Now we will see the next quick update. Next quick update and the last quick update of the day is about the financial stability report. And what is the development? So RBI have released the June 2026 edition of the financial stability report. So financial stability report in India is published by the RBI, and internationally who publishes it? Write in the comment. So the report reaffirms the resilience of the India's financial system, with banks and NBFCs remaining strong due to the robust capital, liquidity, profitability and low NPAs and the healthy credit growth. Now we'll see about the financial stability report. It's a half yearly report published by the RBI since 2010. So it is the biannual report, which means published 2 times in the annum, and prepared by the RBI's Financial Stability Unit under the guidance of the Financial Stability and Development Council, FSDC. And what is the objectives? Assess the overall health of India's financial system, identify emerging risks and vulnerabilities, evaluate the resilience of the banks and the other financial institutions, right, etc. So this is the financial stability report and the quick update. This is all about this week's weekly roundup. To read more about the current affair, you can visit our digital current affair portal, where you can read about the various material related to current affairs, such as monthly magazines, mains 365, which is very important for the upcoming mains examination, PT 365. You can solve various quizzes and even make notes, right? So you can go there and solve. This is all for this week. Thank you. Have a nice day and keep learning. Happy journey. Thank you.